You don't wait until deer season to start sighting in your rifle. You don't wait until you're standing in the woods to learn how to track or trail or field dress an animal. And you don't wait until the freezer's empty to start thinking about where your next meal is going to come from. Yet, that's how most of our culture lives today, waiting until a crisis smacks them in the face before they think about preparation. Preparedness isn't paranoia, it's peace. It's the hunter who hangs tree stands in August, long before the rut begins. It's the archer who practices shot after shot all summer, so the one that matters in November is clean and steady. It's the fisherman who keeps a line in the water when times are good, knowing that skill will matter when times get lean. If you're an outdoorsman, you already understand this truth. Abundance comes to those who prepare before they need it. You don't stockpile firewood after the first blizzard. No, you stack it when the sun's still hot. And you don't wait until duck season to finish the blind. No, you patch it when the marsh is quiet. That mindset, that mindset is preparedness, and it runs deeper than survival. It's about living steady, not stressed. Preparedness bridges communities most people think are separate. The guy running a trap line before dawn, that family raising a few chickens out back, your neighbor that hauls water to his cattle in a drought. They're all practicing the same principle: act early, not late. And it's not about hoarding or fear. No, it's about freedom. It's about knowing your family will eat no matter what. But here's the thing: preparedness isn't glamorous. It's not a bug out bunker or a viral survival video. It's ordinary, consistent actions. It keeps ammo dry, keeping ammo dry, your knives sharp, and a few jars of venison stew on the shelf. It's about passing down skills like how to start a fire in the rain or clean a bird without wasting meat. It's teaching your kids to respect the harvest, whether that's a deer, a trout, or a row of beans. And let's be honest, none of us get it perfect. You're going to forget a tool in the truck. Been there. You're going to burn a meal over the fire. But preparation isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every bag of jerky vacuum sealed, every gallon of water stored, every night spent teaching your kids how to read the woods. That's another step towards freedom. So today we're talking about mindset, not fear, not panic. A mindset of steady preparation that stretches across hunters, anglers, farmers, ranchers, and off grid folks alike. The strongest outdoorsmen aren't just the ones with the biggest racks on the wall. They're the ones who can provide peace for their families when the lights go out or the shelves go bare. Preparedness isn't about living in fear, it's about living free. And that's the abundance worth chasing, season after season, year after year. Good morning and welcome into the Farm to Table Show. Bro, what can I do for you, man? Come on in. The water's
All right.
fine.
Good morning, and I'm also want to say good morning real quick to our tablers over there. Welcome in, guys, and we thank you for showing up. I think you're going to enjoy this, and I think you're going to enjoy these next guests. But before we do, let's warm up on that a little bit. Why do outdoorsmen, hunters, farmers, ranchers, and homesteaders always seem to be steady when things go sideways? What's the mindset that they've got that most people miss? Join us here today is our friends from Fear Not Farms that's going to be here to help us break that down. Dakota, Shayla, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
And so let's talk a little bit about deer hunting. All right. So most folks wait until it's too late, but hunters and farmers don't. Um, Now, it's about deer season for you guys right now. So, Dakota, kind of take us through some of the thought process about this time of year, kind of, gearing up for that. Well, where are you guys at? What's your plan this year? And what do you do to prepare for that?
So we kind of do a lot of public land hunting, which
is good news for anybody listening that wants to get into hunting, because I probably have more experience on public land than your average hunter does. Just kind of grew up poor. So we hunted what we could hunt, and 95+% of the time that was public land. So right now, if you follow our channel, we've bought 40 acres, and there's about 3-4 acres of it that's kind of huntable, and so we're looking at starting to run cameras any day now. I've got to go pick one up that's out in the woods, but we're looking at cameras and where we're going to hunt from on this property, and we're staging up to put a little food plot in and stuff. Something we've never been able to do because, like I said, we've hunted public, but primarily we're still focused on public. Yeah, we've got some private land we can hunt and here and there, but there's just so much public land that's where we're at. We're kind of just thinking, about where we're going to spend that time. It's really hard to plan for public. It's kind of a shoot from the hip kind of thing. You kind of try to remember what you did last year. Remember, you got apps like Onyx nowadays where you can save all your information, and just every now and then, like this morning when it's cool outside, you think about it and you go, man, you pull up Onyx and you go to looking at it, and you start thinking, when rifle season gets here, this is where I want to be, right here, and you got to visualize all that mentally, because a lot of this stuff is woolly. There's no roads. You ain't driving in. Um, Hunting is a very visual and predictive kind of thing. If you can visualize it happening, more often than not, it ends up happening. But
So, Dakota and Shayla, how much time does it take to prepare for something like that? I mean, do you think about it just before it happens, or are you guys like, I keep, sighted in constantly. I keep, everything ready to go at all times. Or do you guys kind of start a month or so in advance? How much time does
so
it take to prepare for that?
as far as like
I guess it
getting
depends on what we're hunting
it,
and the year to year.
some years I get on top of it a little better, but I mean, typically I feel pretty confident grabbing my weapons of choice and uh, being able to hit what I need to with them. But
This
I
year
mean,
it's a
we try
little
to
bit.
get them out at least a week before. Well, okay. Well, here's the real kicker. If you're hunting youth, I guess I should talk about this from more of a beginner's perspective. And our kids, I still consider them, even though Levi's harvested several deer, I consider him a beginner. So from a beginner's perspective, we get Levi out. There's been times where we've practiced weekly for uh, 6 weeks prior to deer season, because there's a huge ethical standpoint there as well. You don't want to go out there and have a bad shot put on an animal, and you don't want to be chasing a wounded animal, and all those things. So from a beginner's perspective, it's one of those things where you want to prepare weeks ahead of time, as far as what you're going to harvest the animal with. Are you proficient with it? But as far as like what we need to go out and hunt, we typically kind of keep in totes, and we've got it ready year round. It may take an evening beforehand to kind of sort out, depending on weather and where we're going. But
Right.
Right.
You know, I was
Yeah,
gonna
go
say,
ahead, Rick.
I was gonna say, which I'm fortunate. I've got that public land at the end of my driveway, so I don't have to go very far. But one of my boys, he goes out there, several times throughout the year, and just walks, and he maps the trails and he finds the signs where they migrate all through there throughout the rest of the year, so he knows where to go when the time opens up and he can go out there. But hunters and farmers kind of got the same thing going. They have stuff they have to prep for all the time. They got to prep for the next season, growing or hunting. And does that change how y'all do things, knowing what's coming next? I mean, does that change y'all's routine?
Um, well, there's a lot that's kind of driven by the seasons. Like early October deer hunting is very very different from hunting in October and November. Uh,
Right.
Hunting is very different in December than it is in November.
Right.
So, like in the early season, it's hot. You got to think like you, these deer are not thinking much different than you. If it isn't
Right.
crucial, they're not doing it during the daylight. So they're,
Right.
they're
That's me.
where they're moving around is going to be in a very small area,
Right.
and like we've got a video up. Levi got drawn on Sequoia National Wildlife Refuge
Right.
in mid October. It took me 3 days to find a buck, and when we did, it was a pretty nice one. But once we found the sign, those deer were extremely localized to that sign. You can find pockets of does all over the place just because there were so many does, but the bucks, they were all in one spot, extremely localized. If you didn't get right on top of them that time of the year, you're not gonna just sit down and just hope one comes by you.
Right.
So, but then you start getting into November, and you could just about pick a spot in the woods and sit down and have a 50-50 chance of seeing a buck.
Right.
So for the seasons and the time of the year, it's very crucial to plan according to that, and then like I said, in December you start moving back into a feeding program where if there's not feed, the deer aren't going to be there. So, or
Yeah.
You got to plan your clothing and bring the walk-in and t-shirt, and then you need to have a jacket by the end of the evening to throw on. And
yeah, I usually pack in more clothes in my bag than I'm wearing.
Smart move. Now, you guys don't only deer hunt, but that preparation mindset, uh, preparing early for a successful season. You guys also have a homestead. That value probably carries over through just about everything you guys do, whether you're gardening, you know, animal raising, or whatever that is. Everything's on a time clock, and you just can't set it and forget it and walk away from it. You're constantly doing that in advance. Tell us a little bit about the homestead and where you guys are at with that right now.
So
actually, we're preparing to get hay.
so the homestead right now, we're between. If anybody here follows our other channel, we're between having sold or trying to sell our 10-acre homestead, which was kind of self sufficient in the sense that we had water ran to the corral, the goat barn. We had water infrastructure. We had all the fencing we needed to make that when we're gone doing other things, we knew our animals were going to be inside of our fences.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got this new property, which we're excited for, but needs fencing all the way around it,
Oh, wow.
and
Water lines.
needs water infrastructure.
Everything.
So
Starting
it
back
could be
to
kind
square
of we're needing to sell that other property, but we're kind of getting down to crunch time where it's almost like it'd be better if we didn't sell it till after winter,
Yeah.
because we just got so much stuff like hunting season, but also shorter days,
Right.
all the
Coming
stuff
up.
kind of colliding, where it'd be nice to be able to almost say, hey, let's worry about selling that in the spring, and we'll just go ahead and use that infrastructure throughout the winter, because we can over there, we can get away with leaving our animals for 3 days,
Right.
but if we have to move our goats over to here, it's probably going to be behind hot wire. Then you really got to start questioning They,
Right.
they're pretty good about listening to it if you run a hot enough charger. But you if you're gone for 3 days, then you got to really start wondering: are they staying behind that fence?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's almost needing goat sitter time at that time.
Yeah. So now I know last year there was Levi got his first kill, but he had a little bit of disappointment. But you guys still wound up at the end of that. I know you brought at least two. Did you guys get 2 or 4 or 2 or 4 last year?
We brought in 8 total, but on that sequoia hunt, we brought in 4.
No,
Oh, okay.
I mean, oh yeah, oak Moby, sequoia,
Sequoia was
Levi.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah.
So at this point, you guys had already prepared for the season, and as a family affair, you went out hunting. But after the kill shots, you know, the work's not over right there. You guys still got to bring that home. You still got to prepare it and put it in the freezer. Kind of talk to me a little bit about, you know, that process. Do you guys do it on your own? Do you take it to a processor? Uh, what's your preparation with 8? I don't know if you guys take it to a processor or if you guys do it yourself.
So we had to bring several big coolers last year. I don't know if we really planned on killing 4 deer last year, but
In one day.
in one day, yeah. But then we got caught up in a storm, and so we ended up skinning them. What time did we go to bed? 1 a.m.
Yeah.
About
So
1 a.m.
that's probably been our most successful video. What was it called again? The most epic.
It was like epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was probably our most successful video. But like she said, we harvested 4 deer, and we had thunderstorms rolling in, and we couldn't have really predicted how bad the thunderstorms were going to be. But it had started raining by the time we tagged those deer with the wildlife biologist, because it was a special hunt on on a game management area. So by the time we got all the checking in and the aging of the deer, and they took like DNA samples and stuff of the deer, and it was kind of cool. But by the time we got all that done, it started raining on us. Well, we had 4 deer and it wasn't cold outside. Was it October still? Or I think it was the 1st of November. But anyways, it was not cool outside. So and if it's raining and it's kind of warm, that's a recipe for disaster, because that water will just conduct the heat to the deer. You can't really keep it cool. So we skinned, and we were in a camp area.
Right.
So I didn't hang them up. What we did was
we hung on the first one, but we were having so much trouble because with the rain, he kept slipping, and it was just the deer was spinning.
So basically, I skinned 4 deer on the back of the truck, quartered them up, and packed them in ice and coolers. And we didn't get to bed till about 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
With a flashlight. I think we had a little lantern or something, little electric lantern.
It's pretty miserable.
A flashlight. I stood there and quartered them up on the back of the tailgate, put them in ice, and we got to sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours before the real storm hit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
now.
But it was fun. It was all for fun, Wouldn't do it any other way, I guess.
Right.
So go ahead, bro.
Well, I was just going to say, you got it there. Where did you put all that when you got home?
No
That was
kidding.
what I was going to say. One thing we have to really prepare for is our freezer space. So,
Right.
We never know how many deer we're going to shoot. We have a goal. Last year, I think usually we shoot 2
Eight's
to 3.
a pretty solid number. We've got a lot of cattle to butcher coming up soon, so I probably won't push the gas as hard on that many this year because I'll
All
have so
right.
much hamburger meat around. But in the past, we didn't have
More than
we,
three.
we didn't
two.
have the kind of livestock we have now. You know, we weren't looking at processing 1,000-pound steers at the
Right.
same time. So we were always trying to put, you know, we weren't always successful like that, but we were always trying to put at least 3 to 4 deer in the freezer. The more, the better. But
Right.
That's you
If
gotta
you got
make
the space.
you gotta make sure you have the space. You gotta make sure you got bags. You
so
gotta make sure. Well, we
even if
process.
you have all the freezers, here's the thing: is if you go out and you harvest 2, 3, 4 deer at a time. Let's say it's a family event and you're successful like that, and you end up with 4 deer at a time. This is even if you have all the freezer space in the world. What you have to consider is how long it takes to package up 4 deer if you don't have. Eventually, we want to have like a semi-professional meat processing facility here on the homestead. But
Mm-hmm.
what we have to do right now is we pack them in, like we have to have big coolers, lots of ice, and we'll quarter them up, pack them in that ice, and we'll work on it for like a week. We'll pull out a quarter, couple quarters, we'll bone them out, we'll cube them up and cut them into steaks or cube them up into hamburger meat, and and then we'll have a whole nother cooler going where we're brining that hamburger meat uh, and getting it prepared. But what we ended up doing is a combination last year of us processing the deer for the most part. We processed it about 90% of the way. And then we had so much grind that we didn't have like a commercial grinder. I didn't want to
Right.
sit there and grind like 100 pounds of deer meat or more. So what we did was we just took that to our butcher that does our big animals right now, and it was pretty affordable. I mean, just basically
Right.
paid.
Yeah. So Dakota, I just feel like I I was just participating in part of y'all's planning for this year. So I think that really illustrates for anybody out there who of course, what we're talking about here is that whole preparedness mindset and thinking in advance about what's coming up, especially if you're going on a hunt or you're going fishing or you're going, or you're raising animals or doing a garden or whatever it is on a homestead. And how that constant mindset um, almost has to be in anyone who has decided to go on this adventure, of homesteading, hunting, outdoorsman type stuff. So, which brings up another point. I don't think that, well, I'll just ask it this way. Anybody can buy gear, okay?
Mhm.
But not everyone knows how to use it. Um, why do you think real skills matter more than stuff when it comes to being prepared? I think the answer is obvious, but even a deeper question that I would ask there would be, um, you've been doing this all your life, hunting. You got that skill a long time ago. You started on that skill set. And I guess how important is it for you in advance or anyone in advance to increase their skills so that they can deal with stuff like this? How important are the skills and skill building?
So I would say the number one skill to hunting is discipline, because even even myself, like me knowing, how to hunt the wind direction and how to approach a certain hunting area that may be a bedding area and how to walk in there. Even myself, like I'll go and say, hey, I need to get back in there and hunt. And I'll go, or I'll look at two different areas that I have to hunt and go, man, one of those is 3/4 of a mile walk to over a mile with this wind. This one's this one's you know, half mile walk. And I'll take the easy route and it won't necessarily pan out. You know, like I want to sleep in, and I don't want to have to walk that extra half mile to get in there. But that's not always the case. You can hunt close to the parking lot and be successful too. But what I'm getting at is, or I'll say I really want to hunt that area. I'll walk in. I don't care what the wind's doing, and then I'll get busted. Well, my discipline told me that, hey, I really need to pay attention to that wind, and I ignored it because it's just where I wanted to hunt. So I would say that's probably, even for somebody who's been hunting their whole life, you really need to be disciplined and pay attention to those things that you do know, and stick to them, because it'll bust you more often than it won't. But I think, as far as a lot of people go, we hear this a lot. Man, I used to hunt, but man, I got these little kids, and it's just they're too loud. It's too hard to get out there and hunt with them, and that's not the case. I'm telling you, you will get busted if you're taking kids out there. There's times when, if you didn't have them, that they're going to bust you, but it's not always the case. Um, I can go back and tell you stories for days, to where whenever I was a kid, okay, this is how it was whenever I was a kid. I was in, I think it was second grade or so, when my dad took me out at an hour and a half before the sun came up, because he still had to get down the road and get in on a place. And he said, "You see the tops of those trees down there?" It seemed like a mile away. If you go out there now, it's probably about 500-600 yards off the road. But he said, "See the tops of those trees? Just get down there and pick a tree and sit next to it." And I did, and I could kind of have a sense about where trails were, and I think that's a trail. So I set off that before the sun came up, and I shot a deer 30 minutes after the sun came up. But that's how I started out hunting. My dad just dropped me off on public land and said, "Go sit down there." And then we didn't have cell phones. We had to wait till 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning rolled around, and they came to check on me. Well,
Well, I'm glad, Dakota and Shayla, I'm really glad that you guys were talking about what you did when you was a kid, because what I want to tell, the people in our audience is that you guys took your family, your whole family, with you last year during the season. And I was excited and a little bit touched about Levi getting his first shot, right? And then, but he had suffered some disappointment there. And I really like the way, first of all, you guys are preparing your children, for the future. You guys homeschool. You guys, they're being raised on a homestead. They're being raised hunting and fishing and all that stuff, which I think is awesome. But Shayla, do you remember at the end of that video that you guys did, that where he had missed that? Do you remember the conversation that you had with Levi?
I don't think so.
You were asking him, just as a little reminder. I know you're like us; we don't ever go back and watch our stuff, but we forget. But you were talking to him about how it made him feel.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Sequoia.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those are kind of two separate videos, but yeah. That was Sequoia, when we hunted for those 3 days, and he finally got a shot on a big buck, and he did hit it. And like I said, we prepared for 6 weeks or more, which I have a bone to pick with Oklahoma about that hunt. It's a great hunt for kids. There's tons of deer on that place. It's a great place for opportunities, but they make it muzzleloader only. That bugs me. When you're making a youth hunt, why make it muzzleloader only? Because that's just a muzzleloader, which I ought to do a video on this. I have a way of kind of downloading a muzzleloader to make it more tame for children. So I probably ought to do, I might have put that in the video somewhere, but I probably ought to redo that, because we've got that same hunt coming up this year. But I ought to do a video on how to download a muzzleloader and still be effective with it, but make it
Yeah.
something a kid isn't afraid to shoot, or you know.
So you come up with a video idea from this. So that's a payoff, right? Probably be a good video. Be the best one you ever made.
There you go.
But we're about to change over to our different segment here with you guys. But before I do, I just kind of want to ask you, and you don't have to break it down too much, but how important is it for preparing your children? Because this whole thing is the prepared mindset, by raising them the way you guys are raising them.
So I think you kind of hit on it. There's a lot of ups and downs in life. Some of the biggest gut punches I felt whenever I was a kid was you feel really excited. You're a man. I've succeeded. I've harvested this deer that many adults struggle to even do, especially like I always knew, on public land, I'm against the odds here, and I'm able to do it as a kid, and it makes you feel really successful. It gives you that taste of victory. But then there's also times when you make a shot and you spend all day looking for it, and it's very bittersweet at that point.
Oh, man.
So it gives you all the emotions. I think that winning and losing are huge developmental emotions in
Well,
life.
Yeah.
I think it made them feel. Well, Rylan shot one too last year, and he was so excited.
Rylan probably had the most disappointment throughout the entire season.
We went out. I took him out 12 or 13 times. He took him out once or twice, and man, just the satisfaction of him finally getting to shoot a deer was so much fun. It made it all worth it. And
but he had a lot of missed opportunities, or just narrowly missed, and then to finally win.
Yeah, and it made him. He felt. I guess I don't know. I guess when you're able to bring, knowing that he's the one providing food on our table, made
Right.
a good feeling.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine that that's what it was, and yeah, I get exactly what you're saying there, Dakota, about the ups and downs. You're up one time, but then you suffer disappointment. But that is also preparedness. We succeed in our failures, right? Through our failures, we learn, right? And that's part of gaining a skill, and that's part of being prepared. So anyway, guys, we're going to move on to our next section, but before we do that, I just want to say, at the end of the day, it's simple. The prepared stay steady. Everyone else scrambles.
Yep.
Right. All right, guys, let's go on into the guest spotlight.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right. This is part of my favorite section, the segment, or it has become part of my favorite segment. And that's where we really get to dive a little bit deeper into our guests. And you guys, you're in the hot seat on the Farm to Table show, just to prepare you a little bit. Now, what is the hot seat? The hot seat is where we appropriately, easy for me to say, fire a few shots across the bow to see how you handle pressure. But after, listening to you guys, I already know you do really well with this. So anyway, what that is about is I'm just going to ask you guys a few questions. And who's more likely to start a quick fix that turns into an all-day project, where that's fixing fence or setting up camp?
That's probably pretty equal on that one.
Shayla's more likely to break stuff that I have to fix. She'll start something simple that'll end up in a big project.
Says the one that broke the tire yesterday.
Oh, well, now we're telling on each other. See, I got them going now. Yeah.
Well,
So
we'll go back and forth on that one.
Okay. At deer camp, who tells the taller tales?
He's the one that always sees deer but never brings one back.
because
Uh,
more
Oh,
patient
no, wait a
than you.
minute.
uh,
Okay. Which one is a bigger frustration for you guys? Tornado warnings at 3 a.m. or mosquitoes?
Mosquitoes.
Uh, that's pretty clear. I
and
hate mosquitoes. Just a side note there. I came over to the Philippines and I had lived here for 7 years in the past and I got dengue. Do you guys know what dengue is? It's a
Uh-uh.
sickness that's over here from mosquito bites. And there are people who are Filipinos here, live all their life and never get it. Me, I'm over here for 4 months and I wind up with dengue. But anyway, uh, so here's another one for you. Instant coffee in the blind, is it survival essential or cruel and unusual punishment?
Survival essential.
You're like me. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So, it's like a day without good coffee. Um, it's not the greatest, but a day without coffee at all, that's worse. But
Oh, yeah.
anyway, so we're gonna do a little bit of deep dive into some conversation here. Um, and I know you guys hunted in the storms, raised animals through heat and cold, and faced plenty of surprises. That mindset keeps you steady when, so what mindset keeps you steady when times get tough?
That God's in control of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of
there's
fair.
there's almost no. I mean, well, there is nothing outside of God's will. So, I mean, and the fact is, a lot of those are tough times in life. I mean, it's but at the end of the day, you can't panic and tuck
Also,
tail.
we all got each other, and we're all. I mean, we all. If anything did happen or does come, then I do. We all feel prepared. Like the kids. I feel very confident they can go out and be able to survive. Right along with us. They're
I need to
Right.
get Dylan out and do a survival trip with him. I did it with Levi 2 years
Oh,
ago. And now that Ryland's the same age Levi was, I need to get out and do it with him. We did it in March. It was pretty chilly. Uh, it was probably one of the we did turn it into a hunt,
January.
or was it in January? But anyways, we did turn it into a hunt and foraging scenario, and it was probably one of the most challenging. We were looking for small game, and it was probably one of the most challenging hunts I've ever had. When I actually had to have food, when I didn't have candy bars, I didn't have a granola bar in my pocket or anything like that. That was the toughest it ever was to harvest small game.
right. Wow.
so
Hey, bro, I'm
yeah.
going to interrupt. We got a Greg Duncan from Duncan Family. I'm going to put that up. Who is the best shot, Dakota or Shayla?
I guess it depends on what we're shooting. She could actually shoot a pistol better than me, but I think I could top her on the other ones.
I don't know. You're better at moving shots for sure, but I'm better at the farther shots.
She's good at misidentifying birds and shooting
I am terrible
shooting
at shooting
birds that
birds.
should never be mentioned by name.
If it comes to shooting ducks or doves, I'm terrible. Absolutely
Unless
terrible.
you're not supposed to shoot it.
Well,
So I want to take us back just a little bit about something that you said, and I think I know what you mean when you say you're going to take one of your young ones out on a survival trip. Kind of tell us what the objective there is. Kind of take a little deep dive on that for people who may not know.
What
You
was
said that
what was it
the
again?
survival trip.
A
Oh,
survival trip. Yeah.
so the objective was simply to go out there and find water, purify it, and find food and not take food with us and spend 2 nights out there. And the objective was to work through the hunger and the uncertainty, and to build those skills. Like okay, let's say total grid collapse, and your home is now worthless because it is now nothing more than an anchor. How do you move around? How do you harvest? Because you're not going to harvest deer if something like that were to happen. And we have this massive or collapse, or we have nuclear war. You're not going to be out there harvesting deer for every meal. You're going to be looking for small game, and can you think with an empty stomach?
Right.
Which Levi got. We harvested a couple of animals the second evening, ate good, and still the next day. And we used the innards from those animals we harvested to bait limb lines and caught fish. But it was so windy and it was so dry, we opted to not cook the fish and just pack out and go home. But we could have. And Levi it was mentally challenging for him that next day. Even though we had ate good the night before, we were still hungry. And we had to walk a mile out by the time we finished that second day. So it's all a mental toughness game. Survival really is, it's when you actually go out there with not much, it's 10 times harder than it would have been. If you pack food, there's going to be a squirrel right there just waiting on you to harvest it. But when you don't have food, you can't find it.
They know. They sense it, right? It's like we're being hunted right now.
That's a little different than what I went on when I was a kid. I was in Boy Scouts, and they took us out on this survival night, and we packed out, and they said the only thing you can have is what you can carry, but no backpacks, no nothing like that, just what you can carry on your clothing. Well, I had an old Army field jacket. Well, people don't know those things have a pocket in the back. They had told us they were going to give us raw food. We were just going to, like raw hamburger, we were just going to figure out how to cook it. So I slid a skillet in that pocket, and I walked all day with that skillet back there. So when we were finally feeding us like 15 hours later, and they gave it to us, and somebody built a fire, and I whipped that thing out and set it on the fire. They were not happy with me. I mean, the guys cooking were, but the scout people were. They're like, "Where'd you get it?" I mean, you said if I could carry it, I could have it. I got it.
10 kilos, a lot lighter.
A lot lighter, yes.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I think that is actually a really excellent way to do that. I can't remember ever having to just go out and live off the land. I don't think I have ever done that. And I can only imagine that your boys are going to remember it when you do it. It's going to make them prepare and think about it, right? And it's not a wasted skill, right? It's not a wasted exercise to be able to do that. But we're going to move on out of the deep dive a little bit, and we're going to get into show and tell.
Yay.
And what you got?
Grab it.
Them?
Yeah.
How am I going to grab them?
I don't know. I need to back this up.
So Greg was asking about Shayla's accuracy, her shooting skills. This one's got an interesting story behind it.
Well, you always got to throw me under the bus here.
Okay, anticipation is making me wait here. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice.
So that was Shayla's first buck.
Oh, it's way too close.
Wow.
He's not super big.
I mean,
He looks nice and big in
This
front
is
of the
what I
camera
like
that.
about him, though. You ever seen a deer with a mane?
oh, right.
So when they do stitch the back. So some people think that was just bad stitch job, but that deer,
This is the stitch line.
that one was actually a private land deer, and we had cameras and feeders up, and we had pictures of him over and over and over again where whenever he was posturing at other deer and stuff, that mane would really stick up. and I guess it's a prehistoric trait in whitetails. It's the only one I've ever seen like that, and the taxidermist said he's only seen it a couple of times.
Wow.
Wow.
Totally cool.
So, but yeah, tell them your story about when you made that shot on it.
Well, I was a little confused on the time that I had to quit because I was thinking we only had 20 minutes until sunset to, you have 30 minutes after sunset that you're legally allowed to shoot. So I was thinking 20 minutes for some reason. So I got down early and I started walking back, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey, there's a big buck heading your way." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Stay in your stand, stay in your stand." I'm like, "I'm already out of my stand." And he's freaking out on me. And I turned around and I see this buck running down this hill towards my stand. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
It would have been about a 70-yard shot if she would have stayed where she was at.
And so he's yelling at me through the phone, asking if I see it and asking me what's going on. And it was so windy. It's almost dark. It's like the what do you call that?
Twilight?
Yeah, the twilight hour. And
Good dust. Yeah.
yes, and so I could just barely see him, and he's out there in this tall grass, and he had made me some homemade shooting sticks, so I throwing them down. I dropped my phone. I'm trying to get all arranged. I was looking through my scope, and I seen him. He come up, right out in front of me. And,
right out in front.
Well,
330 yards away.
Well, yeah, across the canyon, but he was straight in front of me. And I had him in my scope. I seen him, but then I threw the shooting sticks down because I could not hold the gun straight. I was swaying all over the place. So I sat down, threw my phone down. I get him back in the scope, and I'm like, "All right, I got the shot," and I shoot him.
Well, wasn't he facing south originally?
I'm getting there. No. I'm getting there. And so I shot, and I seen him hump up, and he took a few steps, kind of ran a little bit, and then just sat there. And he's like, "Did you get him? Did you get him?" And I'm like, I don't know. He's not moving. It kind of looks like he's laying there. And I could not figure out if he was laying there or standing there. I thought he's laying. He's like, "Well, get him again." And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got him. And I'm watching him real hard, and all of a sudden I see him limping along real slow, and he goes off into the woods. I'm like, okay, he's obviously injured. And so he comes out there, and we went around the canyon, and we get out. We hear him crash down the hill. We give him some time, hour or so. When we get out, and we go down there, and we find him. Well, kind of where I had aimed was what I thought was his front shoulder. And I guess there was a point where I had it with my scope while I was standing up to the point that I squatted down and was using my shooting sticks. He turned around, and so he had his head down, and his body looked the same from either direction. And I actually shot him clear through his manhood, blew that off, and right through his back feeder.
So it was the shot placement perfect. If it would have been the front shoulder, she would have had a perfect bottom of the heart shot on it. It would have been it was still an ethical shot because she ended up clipping the femoral artery and he didn't go. But basically she made a 330-yard shot in 40-mile-an-hour winds,
which is crazy.
And I put it in the ballistic calculator afterwards, and she hit pretty low. It was just in front of the back hip pocket, pretty low at a little bit of an angle. So, it went from the front of the hip out the back. But, I put it in the ballistic calculator. She couldn't have been 20 yards further if she would have shot under the deer with a 30-aught.
Wow.
Yeah, that's stuff that like snipers make. You know what I mean? That's like a sniper's shot.
with a $130 rifle.
Hey,
wow. Hey, I wouldn't care if it was a pea shooter at that point, you know.
This is
Yeah,
Terry, this is Terry's response from TNT Homestead.
okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, well, guys, we're getting, you know, pretty close to our time. We're about 10 minutes out to the top of the hour, and we're going to have to let Ryan take it over here. But before we're going to do a little more rapid fire on you. Okay.
right.
You ready for it?
Go.
Go. All right. Well, if I get on the right page, maybe we will go. All right. Sweet corn or venison backstrap?
Backstrap.
Backstrap.
Back.
Yeah.
I knew you guys were going to say that.
Even I'd say
Which
that.
one? Right. Which one is your worst annoyance? Stubborn goats, bad coffee, or wet boots?
Wet
Wet
boots.
boots.
I get wet shoes, wet feet.
Yeah.
Been out
So-
there a million times with wet feet, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. It feels good to get back home and warm them up. So if Fear Not Farm had a soundtrack, what would that soundtrack be? Would it be a tractor's hum, buck grunt, or kids laughing?
Hmm.
I don't know.
Kids laughing.
Yeah.
Kids laughing. That's kind of where I was at. I said, those kids are awfully darn cool. So who's more likely to miss the shot or mess up because
Yeah.
they're laughing too hard?
Me.
That'd be you?
Uh,
All right, guys. Listen, we got to wrap this thing up here
Hurry up.
tonight. But, you got something, bro?
well, I was going to say Terry has shared the link, and I'm going to pin it over
Awesome.
there
Thank
to
you.
Fear Not Farm. So that's pinned at the top of the comment. It's pinned in the comments there. So I'm going to ask this question because we didn't really hit it. Fear Not Farm is new, and I know this.
Mhm.
Did y'all rename, or is the old channel still there? What happened? Tell us the story from Old Pecan to Fear Not Farm.
We did a rename. It was something we've been talking about for a while. We always said if we ever bought a farm or kind of moved up from homesteading that we would change it. And so we just kind of stepped out of the homesteading scene, I guess, and now we're kind of pushing more into the farming.
Yeah. So, I mean, we grow more, we produce more meat on our place now than we can consume as just a homesteader. So,
Right.
Mhm.
we kind of felt like renaming the classification of our channel kind of, insinuate like if we do an educational video, like soon we've got to castrate a bunch of pigs and stuff,
Right.
and just different things. I feel like kind of moving out of the hey, we're just kind of do it yourselfers to hey, we've been doing it long enough now that our information. I'm not saying we're the best out there on information for certain things, but we're definitely good enough to give information as if we're professionals at it, in some regards. There's better people. There's people that know a lot more than I do about some of this stuff, but we want people to be able to look at the name of the channel and what we're doing and be able to say, okay, maybe because some people don't necessarily, even though homesteaders can be really skilled, some people don't necessarily give them their due respect, on
Right.
certain topics.
That
Okay.
and mispronounced pecan wrong, which drove me absolutely
Pecan.
insane.
Yeah, those of us down here know how to say pecan and
Yeah.
or pecan.
Old pecans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Now I know when we had y'all on before, Dakota, y'all had shared kind of this desire to help feed the people in your community and around where y'all live and everything. Does this new chapter tie into that still, or
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got to start trying to do some educational videos on where a lot of our meat really comes from. I think a lot of people if they knew just what feedlot beef was being fed and stuff, it would be easier for them to make a decision. What's kind of crazy is we've tried to sell stuff very competitively priced with what people are used to paying, and it's still, I feel like it's still the biggest thing dividing local producers from the grocery store is education and convenience. You gotta you gotta try to figure out how to be convenient for people. We've got to figure that out.
Well, one thing that I'm about today, how we've been so busy, but I'm about to put all of our butcher animals on our website to where people can actually make payments instead of paying a big lump sum, because a lot of people cannot afford, can't shell out $1,000 or more on a half whole cow, pig, whatever you're buying.
Sure.
We're going to do it to where we can do it as cheap as possible. We can still make a little bit for ourselves, but also, let them break that down over 6 months or a year to where a family can actually afford it.
Right, I got you. Now, so I'll ask this one last question. And we pinned the link to the channel. Now, is all that information there, or are y'all going to put it at .com or Facebook, or where can they find out information if they wanted to get in on some of that?
We got fearnotfarm.com. We got our Facebook page, Fear Not Farm, and then any of that'll work.
So Fear Not Farm. There you go. Find it.
And YouTube. Yeah.
And YouTube, of course.
Right. Do you guys still have the old pecan stuff, or it's completely
Everything's
gone?
been
You
changed.
just changed the name.
If you
Right.
search
The videos-
Homestead
The videos will be there, but they'll come up under Fear Not Farm now.
Yeah. You
Okay.
can still search pecan and it'll still come up too.
Okay.
Right.
Good deal.
Yeah, we were already subscribed, so I thought that's what you did. I thought, okay, because Ryan told me, he said, they're Fear Not Farms now. I said, yeah, I've seen that around, but I didn't know who it was. And so whenever I was going out and doing a little bit of the research over there, I thought, oh, we're already subbed to them. And I said, oh, they just changed the name on there, which is smart because you don't want to give up all that hard work you put into it already, right? So
Right.
We
No.
debate
Our long format videos do okay. It's really our own doing. I feel like on the slow growth is like, if we ever get consistent, we do better. But we get so busy that we don't put anything out for 3 weeks, and it's like starting over. So we didn't feel like it was any kind of necessity to start a new channel, but just kind of our what we have going on around here changed, so we thought it should reflect the name.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, guys, I'm going to say, man, appreciate y'all hanging out with us, coming in, sharing a little bit, laughing, having a good time, and certainly, putting some information out there as far as things to get ready for and how to prepare, and kind of even what y'all do as a family, to overall do that. And so that is totally awesome. So, guys, people watching, you check this out, fearnotfarm.com, Facebook, YouTube. Go out and give Dakota and Shayla, if you're not already, give them a sub and jump on board and watch their journey. You'll find some funny stuff, and you'll find some stuff that'll make you scratch your head, but that's okay. It's a fun journey, and it's been a pleasure to get to know them over the last couple of years and hang out with them when we go to places and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, appreciate it very much. Bro, we need to wrap this up and get on out of here. Y'all can hang with us if you want. Y'all can hang out with us. We ain't got to go anywhere. We just got to we got to move it on. So yeah, I'm getting my little chime ins, people on Facebook. Anyway, all right, bro, I think it's time to
Yes,
wrap it
sir.
up. All right.
All right. So are you ready for the
Well, let's do a redneck weather report. We'll go ahead and do that one first.
wait. Oh
We'll do the brain buster first. That's all right. That's all right. Brain buster. Here we go. Bring me back up, bro. The brain buster. Here we go. Here's the question. Now pay close attention. Is it crazy how saying sentences backwards creates backward sentences saying how crazy it is?
wait, what?
Is it crazy how saying sentences backwards creates backward sentences saying how crazy it is?
Oh my gosh, that's one of those. Now last week It was pretty quick to get it. Okay, I was pretty quick, but it was a good one. This one is really busting my brain right now. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I think
Uh,
I'm going to have to go back and rewind that and listen to it carefully or something.
right. It just
I
flipped.
hear what he's saying, but I'm trying to visualize the words laid out in both directions.
Yeah, and that's
Exactly. That's
and
what
that's
it is.
exactly that's all it is. It's a mirror flip of the words. Uh, but yeah. So all right. Our quote of the day, which is always is tied into the subject matter. So immerse yourself in the outdoor experience. It will cleanse your soul and make you a better person. That was said by Fred Bear, a legendary hunter, and bear bows and all that good stuff. But anyway, immerse yourself in the outdoor experience. It will cleanse your soul and make you a better person. So I
All
think I
right.
like it. All right.
I like it too. Yeah.
I do too. Now, since we're reversing order here, I want to share the redneck weather report. So we got to find out what the
All
weather
right.
is. We're in Jack's part of the
Sorry,
country.
Jack.
Well, good morning, rednecks. It is 68 degrees this morning, August the 23rd, 2025. Got a 4 mile an hour east northeast wind. Feels like it's 67 degrees. Dew point's 58, and we're going to get to 93 today. God bless y'all. We'll see you again tomorrow. Well, good morning,
Wow. That's a big swing in temperature.
Yeah.
Almost
It
makes me
was
nervous.
We got football all
Right.
day.
it was chilly this morning. I mean, dewy. It was
Great.
nice.
So
Oh,
y'all got
that's awesome.
y'all got football now. Is that with the boys?
Yes.
Uh, I was wondering, when we asked us, like, man, are we gonna be able to get them in? They got, I knew y'all guys do stuff with the football and all that stuff. So that's good stuff. Well, listen, it is time for upcoming events. We're just going to cover over a couple of quick things coming up. Big long list. 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from yesterday, actually, is the Ozarks Homesteading Expo. Bro, hard to believe in 2 weeks we'll be doing this up there.
I
Yeah,
think
you'll
I'm
be.
going to be doing this up there.
Yeah, he's flying in on what Monday and landing on Monday, and we're leaving on Thursday morning. So yeah, he's going to be a weekend at Bernie's up there, looking like a dead man. But anyway, Ozarks Homesteading Expo, September 5th and 6th in Marshfield, Missouri. The lineup is phenomenal. The sponsors are great on that one. The speakers, the vendors are, man, it's crazy. Tickets are still available. It's $50 for both days. And anyway, so they're looking forward to that, getting up there and hanging out with everybody there in Marshfield. Um, at the end of September, our very own Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, September 26th through the 27th, Southeast Expo Center in McAllister, Oklahoma. I know a lot of things. Yep, they're going to be there. That's right. You can come out there and see them guys. They're going to be there. We're going to be there, and he's going to be there. He'll be, maybe the jet lag will be over, and he'll
I
actually be
hope.
there. But we're going to be speaking there as well. I do know that the vendors are still there's still plenty of vendor space open. So reach out. Oh,
Volunteers.
huh?
And volunteers. We need lots
And
of volunteers.
volunteers. Yeah, always need volunteers. Always. But anyway, and I know Robbie from the Wild Huckleberries volunteered, and I know some others. Anyway, you can find that at oklahomahomesteadrendezvous.org or on Facebook at Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous if you're interested in that. We're looking forward to it. October 10th and 11th is Homesteaders of America Conference in Virginia. I know that is sold out at the moment, but go out to Homesteaders of America and check them out and see what they're about. And see, it's a great organization, and they're kind of got all this expo event stuff kicked off. So definitely one worth checking out. October 17th and 18th, the Louisiana Homesteader Conference in Bossier City, Louisiana. That's part of the LSU Ag Extension putting that on. You can find information out there on the old Google machine. Just search Louisiana Homesteader Conference. And moving into 2026, wow, I can't believe the calendar's already there. Okie Homestead Expo, March 20th and 21st, Mays County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma. I know that stuff has been happening. They had some early bird specials. They've got things going on. And again, their lineup is shaping up to be another great one this year. So looking forward to that. April 17th and 19th, the 10 Killer YouTube meetup at Lake Tenderkiller, Oklahoma. You can find the 10 Killer YouTube meetup on Facebook for more information on that. Looking forward to another year there. It was great this last year. Mid-America YouTube meetup in Lake Texoma, Oklahoma is May 15th and 17th. They're going to Texoma this year instead of Lake Eufaula, so a little bit different event. But Mike and Terry with MT Homestead set that up. Johnny Gillum with Gillum, Tim, and Christine handle the YouTube meetup along with a few other people that help them out. But anyway, that's the events that I have. As I get more, I'll share them. So, yes.
I want to remind everybody now, next week, we will not have a live show next week. And we may put something up like a throwback from years gone by. By the way, we're about 4.5 years old, guys, now. And so we've got stuff that goes pretty far back. But anyway, that's when I'll be getting ready to make my journey back over here. And I think, bro, you'll be out of pocket also.
I'll be out of pocket that day. Yep. So
right.
So yeah. So
And,
yeah. So it'll be a Memorex of some form.
Right. So I just wanted to say to tablers, if you don't show up next week, your absence will not be counted against you.
That's right. You will be forgiven. But anyway, no, yeah, we will be out next week, and then we will be at the Ozarks Homesteading Expo the following weekend. But we will still be we still will do a live show on Saturday morning from there.
Yeah.
So look forward to that, and I'm sure we'll be able to wrangle somebody to come sit in the hot seat live with us up there. So,
I don't know, man.
We'll do what we can.
One thing to do it from a distance.
Yeah, it's a little safer. Anyway, Dakota, Shayla, thank you again so much for joining us and playing along with this little game that we do around here. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. Folks, that is a wrap for today on the Farm to Table Show Saturday edition. Thanks for joining us as we strive towards building stronger communities for now and in the future. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit the old like button, share it with your friends. If you're not already, subscribe to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is the best way to stay connected and help grow the conversations about food, farming, and community. So until next time, keep your roots deep and your vision growing. Good food starts with great people just like you. And remember, we are hashtag stronger together, hashtag connect and grow. Scotty just put hashtag farm to table Memorex, and hashtag tablers unite, and a few dozen others. Oh, and hashtag shop, I think outside the big box store, shop local. So yeah, and I'm sure I'm probably forgetting one or a dozen. I don't know. But anyway, again, you can find Dakota and Shayla at Fear Not Farm on Facebook, on YouTube, and .com. So give those guys a check out, give them a like, and give them a sub, and all those great things. I think you'll enjoy their videos. Guys, again, appreciate it. And anyway, as you go out today, be a blessing to someone this week. Be a blessing. And as we always say here at the end of every episode, prepare for the unexpected and
keep it local.
Awesome. Take it away, Hank.
Bye-bye. Take it away, Hank. Go on. Go.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.